Hello and welcome to Rev Sports. I'm Gargi Raut. And joining me for the show is Ashok Nambudiri, Rohit Juglan, and soon Shomik Chakrabarti will also join us. And the question that we're asking tonight is Vaibhav Suryavanshi ready for the India challenge? When you look at last night's game, it actually doesn't feel like a cricket match. It feels like someone hit fast forward on the highlights reel. That's what the match yesterday felt like, thanks to the blistering batting by Rajasthan Royals batters. 11 over game, a power play that barely lasted longer than, I don't know, a song maybe. And in the middle of all that chaos, a 14 ball storm unleashed by Webb of Suryavanshi. He is someone who did not get the memo about reputations because he was hitting Jasprit Bumrah out of the park, and that it tells you about the intent that the young batter is bringing. 39 or 14, strike rate flirting around 250, 122 runs in 3 innings so far in the IPL, an average above 40, a strike rate touching 249. And here's the thing, IPL has always been a beautiful liar. It shows you glimpses of greatness, but it doesn't always tell you the full story. So now, tonight in this show, we're not reacting to a cameo. We're asking the bigger question: is Vaibhav Suryavanshi ready for India, or are we maybe falling in love with the idea of a gung ho batter too soon? What do you think, Ashok? Do you think it's time for us to see Vaibhav Suryavanshi in all blue?
I think to first put across a straight answer, it's not a question of whether he will play for India or not, but it's about when he will play for India. And I don't think we are being presumptuous about it. I don't think we are just reacting to what happened last night. I think we've seen consistent performances that actually help us to have a meaningful debate on this one and meaningfully talk about it, because it's not been a flash in the pan for performance. It's actually been, whether you take the under 19 finals, whether you take the fact that he was a player of the tournament in the under 19 tournament, or if you see the performance in the IPL last year, if you see what he put up last night, I think all the body of evidence points to the fact that he's actually born into the T20 format. He's not really somebody who's evolving or who's adapting to the format. We need to recognize and we need to take cognizance of the fact that here is a player who's actually born into this format. And so when he takes guard, he's not taking guard, he's actually taking control. And that's the way the youngsters will play this format going forward. I think we need to recognize, accept it, and given the fact that he can play the kind of fearless innings that we have seen, I think there is a lot of merit in his making it to the team. The real challenge, though, is how do you kind of nurture and preserve and protect that talent, and what do we need to do as an ecosystem to make sure that happens. And that's a challenge because, unlike what we have seen, let's say, with Sachin Tendulkar or with Virat Kohli, I think the issue is quite different here because it's really about letting him be and building an ecosystem around it rather than really enforcing an ecosystem onto him. And I think that's really where the challenge is.
Shomik, I think Ashok brings up a good point here when he says that it's not about whether or not you're going to see him in the India jersey. It's about when it happens. When do you think is the right time for someone as young as Vaibhav Suryavanshi? Because there are comparisons with Sachin Tendulkar, right? But if you look at the entire context of culture in India right now surrounding cricket, it's inherently different. There was no social media when Sachin Tendulkar was that young, so he was sort of protected from the outside world. How do you deal with that in the case of Weber Suryavanshi?
Mm. Your first question, Gargi, when is the time? The time is now. Second question regarding his age, if you are good enough, you are old enough. As regards the fact of you can argue that the Indian team, there is no vacancy. It's a World Cup winning unit, and where will you put in someone like Vaibhav Suryavanshi? The fact of the matter is that for a talent like Vaibhav Suryavanshi, you make room. It's not about whether you have a vacancy or not. You make room. Simple. The upcoming Zimbabwe tour is the right, is the absolutely right moment to blood him in. And once again, the teenager, the comparison with Sachin Tendulkar, yes, the socio-economic aspect and what you have spoken about is totally, absolutely, I totally agree with that. At the same time, there is a bit of a difference. I have already filed a story, and it is already up on our website, and wherein I have spoken to Zubin Barucha, where Zubin Barucha nurtured him, or nurtured Vaibhav Suryavanshi. See, at this stage, the difference between a Vaibhav Suryavanshi and a Sachin Tendulkar is that, along with his attacking wherewithal, Sachin also had a very sound defensive game. And according to Zubin, Vaibhav is working on that bit on his defensive game. But attack wise and T20 cricket is about aggression. And that over against Jasprit Bumrah was his real coming of age for Vaibhav Suryavanshi. He has been making waves absolutely. But the subplot of yesterday's game was Vaibhav Suryavanshi versus Jasprit Bumrah, the great Jasprit Bumrah. And when he hit that six, the first ball six, Bumrah, while he was walking back to his bowling mark, had a wry smile. And after the game, it was very heartening to see the way Hardik Pandya spoke about the kid in glowing terms. So Indian cricket has accepted that a super talent. I will not go to the extent of calling him a generational talent. He will have to prove that. But a super talent has arrived, and the time is now. Blood him in, get him into the Indian team. Once again, I reiterate: if you are good enough, you are old enough.
Rohit, if we look at last night's game as well, there was already so much pressure with it being a shortened game. But Vaibhav taking on someone like Jasprit Bumrah with that much confidence, it tells you a lot about his character and his intent as well. What are your thoughts about Vaibhav?
So as Ashok sir and Shamik sir said, it's quite right at this point of time that this is the time. You can't wait. For another year or maybe another IPL to see, what Vaibhav can improve at this point of time. There will be always things where he can improve. There's always some counter plans by the opposition. But at this point of time, if you are hitting world's greatest bowler for a couple of six in just 1 over, I think that will be it. That's quite means if there is a 1%, 0.1% doubt over, his abilities or his skill set, he completely given you a complete manual that how he can operate, when it comes down to the best bowlers in the world. And it's not only about Jasprit Bumrah, it's about all of them who is playing. Means, look at his century against Gujarat Titans in last year's IPL. Gujarat Titans last year, the best bowling side. Mohammad Siraj was there, really bowling well. Kagiso Rabada, another world-class bowler. Then you see a Prasidh Krishna who was doing really well in that particular tournament. So, scoring against them. Now, the way he started in this particular tournament, he is clearly showing you, that he has that in him. What do you call the intent, or maybe a 200 plus strike rate as far as current day and age T20 cricket is concerned. It's now all up to the selectors that whether they want him at the Ireland tour or at the Zimbabwe tour, because I am dead sure that in one of these tours you will definitely see a Vaibhav Suryavanshi. And as the comparisons were going around with Sachin Tendulkar, so it means the comparisons was only around the age. Means it's not the kind of skill set which Sachin had. As Shamik rightly said, that Sachin have maybe a more solid defensive game also at that point of time. And we all know that the kind of aggressive game he plays at, around that phase, hitting Abdul Qadir for 4 6s. But I think Vaibhav Suryavanshi needs his Raj Singh Dungarpur, who can say that, let's send this kid around to the international cricket. So he needs his Raj Singh Dungarpur.
Absolutely. And Ashok, if I talk about his entire IPL performance as well, 3 innings, but we've seen Vaibhav Suryavanshi set the stage on fire for the past six odd months, and he's been incredibly consistent. How do you balance numbers versus context? Because in the last 3 innings as well, 122 runs is not a small number.
I think, look, first we need to accept that he is a prodigious talent. Whether he stands and delivers, whether it is the bat speed, whether it is the way he works his hands, he's got talent which is incredible. Second, I mean, it's early days, but we've got to understand that, while some people are talking about the audacity to take on a Jasprit Bumrah, I see it more of really, a focus on really getting into the game, building his innings, willing to learn, willing to adapt. The point that Shomik made, about learning how to defend, I thought we saw evidence of that yesterday because somebody with the guile of Jasprit Bumrah, he was bowling deliberately slow yesterday, and I'm sure that he could easily have trapped him with either that famous Yorker or with a slower ball. But Vaibhav Sooryavanshi was very, very not going to fall into that. And the way he kind of played that over and subsequently shows that he's actually wanting to now build a longer innings. And we also saw it when he got out. I thought there was so much of anguish in the body language that he demonstrated. So at least at this point of time, we don't see that arrogance, we don't see that audacity. And so the context really, is that, like I said, this generation of talent, they basically are born into this format. And therefore, how do you then ensure that you are not really working towards adapting them to it, but really building systems to support and nurture it? I mean, what is going to happen now is that things are going to get accelerated, right? I mean, people are going to look at his selection, people are going to look at his talent, people are going to look, at scrutinize his fame. All that's going to happen very, very, very faster than any of the other players that we have seen over the last couple of decades. Two, the problem with the T20 format is that it rewards consistency. It's not really about instinct. It's not really about flash in the pan for performances. And therefore, the day that he misses one or two innings, there's going to be a brutal pushback that's going to happen. And that is amplified by social media. And so the question really is, his talent is given. How do you build a system that nurtures it, keeping him in the center? So let him, like what the Rajasthan Royals has done is a great template. They have basically said that let him play his natural game. We will build everything around him. And I think that works. And so the larger context is that you are perhaps going to get talent like this, which is born into the format. How do you then evolve your coaching, selection, nurturing, mental conditioning systems to adapt to such talent?
Okay, there's a question here by Freaking Awesome. If Shomi could give an insight. Only certain pitches like Eden Gardens, Chinnaswamy change a lot, especially in favor of bowlers when it rains. Yesterday, Guwahati and even games in Women's ODI World Cup were not impacted by rain much.
It was Eden Gardens because of the underwater, under soil thing. I mean, the Ganga is very close, and there, I mean, deep inside the water. At Eden Gardens, the nature of clay is completely different. I'm not too sure about Chinnaswamy because they're completely relayed the outfield, and it is mostly based on sand. So it is a bit different. I don't know because yesterday he is right. The ball was not moving that much. The even after even despite the fact that the pitch was under cover for quite a long time. The previous day we saw that hint of movement at Eden Gardens in the first innings when Xavier Bartlett was bowling. So it depends from venue to venue to this question. But Gargi, if I may add something regarding Vaibhav Suryavanshi, um, the first six he hit, I still can. It was a loosener on leg, and just with Domra 130, 131. It was just the irreverence of youth. He was playing the ball, not the bowler, and that shows the character. The six of the fourth ball was even more impressive. Bumrah bowled a slower one, a cutter, and took the ball away from him outside off, and he picked it up from outside off and swatted it over deep backward square for a six. So that was even more impressive. And that very over evoked the memories of Sachin Tendulkar versus Abdul Qadir at Peshawar in 1989. Yeah, that four sixes in that over. And I can give you an anecdote. Much later, I had a conversation with the great leg spinner. So I asked him, why did you goad him? Or rather, how did you goad him before that? So Kadir Bhai said, and God bless his soul, he said, see, I told Sachin, छोटे मेरे को मार के दिखा फिर समझो कितना बड़ा बैट्समैन है तू एंड सचिन्स रिस्पॉन्स वाज अ वन लाइनर ही सेड मैं तो छोटा हूं after that carnage followed and Abdul Qadir said i I learned the hard way that day that never going ahead will I ever prod this kid. He is such a generational talent. So I'm not comparing, not for once am I still comparing Vaibhav Suryavanshi with Sachin Tendulkar. But that particular over evoked memories of Sachin Tendulkar versus Abdul Qadir.
Absolutely. And now let's move on to the game tonight, which is Delhi Capitals versus Gujarat Titans. In Delhi, Delhi has been on a very good winning streak. Delhi look like a team that is in sync, a team that is well balanced, and Gujarat are still searching for a lot of answers. How are you looking at tonight's game, Rohit?
So I think again with Delhi, yes, the bowling has been so far really good. The way Mukesh is bowling, it's really really wonderful. And as far as there's no presence of Mitchell Stark at this point of time. So without him, without Akib Nabi, also we were very sure that Akib Nabi will start as far as Delhi Capitals is concerned. But they've shown their trust towards Mukesh. They've shown their trust towards Nattu, means Natarajan, and then obviously they have someone like a Vipraj. They have someone like a Akshar. Then Kuldeep is also there. Batting wise, I think the challenging thing is as far as batting is concerned, because as of now it's either Tristan Stubbs or Samir Rizvi, or only Samir Rizvi who's giving them that kind of victories as far as batting is concerned, because no performance from KL Rahul as of now. A different batting order for him this time around, but no performances there. You have a Pathum Nishanka. Apart from that, there will be someone like Ashutosh Sharma also, who's still not got any kind of chances as far as his batting is concerned. Akshar Patel in the middle order. You have someone like a Karun Nair sitting outside. So a lot of players, when you talk about the talent of and the bench strength of Delhi Capitals. So I want to see a lot of batting firepower from Delhi Capitals rather than just one performer, and that is Samir Rizvi. And apart from that, obviously Gujarat Titans with that middle order. I was listening to the press conference yesterday, and there was a lot of questions around the middle order as far as Sai Sudarshan is concerned. So after Gill, Sai, and Butler, what will be their solution towards middle order, because they have a Glenn Phillips, they have Washington Sundar, Kumar Kushagra batted at the very top in the absence of Shubman Gill. Will he get another chance, because he had really wonderful domestic season? And when I'm talking about domestic season, it's across formats, be it Vijay Hazare, the Syed Mushtaq, or the Ranji Trophy. And with that, you have a Shah Rukh Khan there, a Rahul Tewatia, and then obviously Rashid Khan can chip in also. So they have their major concerns around that middle order. So if they get their answer as far as middle order is concerned, I think they'll be doing good. But at this point of time, Delhi is looking a little ahead if you compare it with GT.
Ashok, how are you looking at Shubman Gill's performances so far? We haven't seen an impactful performance from him in the two games, right? Two
One,
games
he
so
played
far.
only one, because second game he missed because of
Yeah,
injury.
he was not there. So
Only
one
one,
game,
yeah.
but yeah, how important is this IPL for someone like a Shubman Gill? From going from vice captain to then being dropped ahead of the World Cup. It's not easy to deal with. And now, if he's not able to make a redemption for himself this time around, how does that impact him?
I think the short answer again, Gargi, is that it does impact him. I mean, there are two roles that he plays: the captain as well as the batsman. I think this is really a perfect platform after the last few months for him to actually demonstrate what he can and then come back into the team. And we have seen this. The IPL has been a template for people who've actually made it to the Indian team on the strength of the performances that they have put in the IPL. It gives them that window. It gives them that platform to do it. And I think it's early days. He's just played one match, but I think over the next few matches, the focus will be on him to come in and prove what he can. I mean, absolutely agree with what Rohit said. I thought Kumar Kushagra looked actually very, very good in that short innings that he played. And so there is going to be pressure, but I think if he can come in and bring in a couple of knocks, I think he can build both his confidence as well as the ask to be looked at for the Indian team.
Okay, let's take a final question and then we can close the show. Freaking Awesome is asking, will Sooryavanshi make his T20I debut against the series against Ireland? Because most senior players will prepare for England white ball tour around that time.
I don't
Yes,
think that it will
Ireland.
be. Okay.
Yeah, no,
Yes,
sorry. Yes, Ireland and then Zimbabwe. There are two overseas tours, and he will be there sooner rather than later because you have to take him. You can no longer ignore him. The time is now, and you have to take him, and you make room for a talent like Suryavanshi. Yes, Rohit, you can go ahead.
I was just saying that, between Ireland tour and England tour, there is not much gap. And because there is not much gap, your main team will travel together. So I don't think that there will be a chance in the Ireland tour because in Ireland, you're only going to play 2 games. So for Zimbabwe tour, you have to send a completely different team. It's obviously date wise, it's completely two different tours, but we have seen that in Zimbabwe, you send your means almost not your A players, means A plus players. You always send a team which has a couple or maybe a 3-4 senior players, and then rest all of them are very, very young or making their debut around that time. So because Ireland have only 2 T20Is, and between Ireland and England there's a less gap between both that series. So I think the team will travel together, be it for the England tour or for the Ireland tour. So that's why, with all of this around, I think that there's a little difficulty making his debut on that particular tour. But Zimbabwe, probability is little higher, as per what I'm thinking at this point of time.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of this show. I'll be at the Firoz Shah Kotla Stadium today, or the Arun Jaitley Stadium today, and bringing you all the updates from Ground Zero ahead of the DC versus GT game. See you then. Till then, stay tuned.